Is this recording working? Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to be attempting to talk about hair and flyaways and hair volume because for some reason people seem to have a lot of trouble with that because literally nobody teaches it. Like everybody forgets to talk about it because they're like, oh, obviously you just look at people's heads. But what's really important is the actual shape of the hair around the person's head. Like just getting straight into it. So this would be more an example, a classic example of straight hair. Um, and this sticks actually very closely to the head. Like here, this has a very round shape, has very little flyaways. It doesn't just like randomly just start going out in spikes because that would actually make it look curly. So it slicks down a lot more, but that doesn't mean it has zero flyaways. Like for example, I don't know if this is very visible, but there might be little flying out bits here and like on the inside. So this actually means you can draw very slight flyaways like this on the inside of the hair that give it some shape other than, just being shaped like a literal sock like this. Which I think a lot of people tend to forget for straight hair. So being able to give us a volume using slight flyaways that still remain mostly straight is very important because if you make the flyaways too curly, it won't look like straight hair anymore. But then if you just kind of make it too spiky, then it doesn't look like real hair. So the thing is, you just got to make the curved triangle shape that sort of tapers off, and depending on how much it tapers off, like for example, this makes it look a lot more curly than if you just do a very thin taper like this, and just occasionally vary how much that tapers. Like for example, this is a bigger, this is smaller. Which kind of creates this inner shape. Whereas with curly hair, you got a lot of big round shapes, so you can even exaggerate these shapes a little bit in drawing, and this will give the illusion of very curly hair. And something I don't see people talk about a lot with curly hair is actually how to draw the flyaways, because for example, you can just draw big curls going out. This one is just a whole extra curl that's come out of the main body. As well as there are occasionally little strands in here that are shaped very much like a C, like this. That's not just the outer edge of the hair, but while the outer edge of the hair does this, there's a little empty space that shows where the strand is sticking out of the hair. Like for example, in these, you can see very clear C shapes. And overall, that's really like the main thing you need to observe. And I'm going to be trying to be turning these into examples because obviously, and yes, I have these kind of poorly drawn copy pasted heads that are all messy, but they get the job done. So starting off with straight hair. Of course, straight hair still has some volume, so you want to make sure you keep some volume around the head like this. If you just want to do a very light sketch as to where that is, then choose the part. For example, if you're doing a center part, then you can just mark where you think it's going to be approximately. And you can make sure the hair dips slightly there to show that there is a part at that location. Then from there, the hair goes out with less flyaways, tucks a little bit closer to the head simply because there isn't that curl volume to hold it out. But then you can still have it kind of taper off a little bit like this. And oh my god, excuse the sniffling, I am allergic to literally everything in my own house. I live in an allergen, so anyway, even though these bangs are going to be straight down, they might still have some uneven length at the end, or even some straight bits if you want to keep some parts straight and then add some more triangles. So basically you can imagine the bangs as this line with occasionally broken by triangles. So you can see this is broken by a curved triangle, straight line, curved triangle, more curved triangles, more straight line, and that's just the shape of the bangs. And you can basically just repeat this on the other side to get that feeling of straight hair. Wow, somebody coming into the room. Hi, please don't come into the room. I am actually recording something. This is going in the video. Yeah, I'm too lazy to edit. Anyway, other than that, curly hair tends to have more volume. So instead of sticking close to the head like this with the straight hair, you can kind of just trace out vaguely more volume, although the top of the head will still be closer to the skull, basically, and it puffs out a little bit more. So say this is the shape of the curly hair. Say it's kind of similar to that shoulder length straight hair over here, but say it's the same middle part with some sort of bang action going on. So you can still outline where the part is going to be just a little bit more deep, or dare I say violent, but I think that's the right word. I mean, wrong word. What am I saying? I'm so tired, guys. And just essentially show the curls being more loose at the top usually, whereas because there's more weight pulling them down, whereas there are tighter curls at the bottom like this. And just overall outline the big shape around this very faint outline that you can have sketched out. And the curls get more tight as you go down to the bottom. Again, it doesn't really have to be super clean. A lot of hair actually works best when you just basically put down flowy shapes. And then you can you can create that little C shape as well by carving out little bits where the hair is not there. The silhouette is kind of really the most important part. So you can just have a couple of these little C shapes going on. That kind of show the shape of the hair. And if you want to draw any flyaways like this, it's just basically just a C shape that doesn't fully connect. Or any flyaways that curl outward like this. Just the thing is, you gotta make sure that the line variation or like the confidence of the line kind of works with it. For example, if you just do this, then it kind of just looks, well, not as confident because it looks like you drew it really slowly. No like flow in the shape, if you will, and no line variation of any sort, whether that be thickness, which, you know, one part might be more thick and then the other part might be more thin. Or, you know, opacity, which means it might be more thinner at the end, which shows the hair going off into the air. But yeah, I mean, that's really what people need to know about curly hair, I think. And as for bangs, you know, you can just kind of mimic the same shape. I usually start from the center of the bangs because that's the easiest to keep track of. And then you kind of just do this, but you kind of do the same thing, but with more triangles this time and less of a straight line, because curly hair is not as likely to make that perfect straight line anywhere. Although, if anybody wants to really call me out, feel free to do that. If you message me and start screaming in my messages and being like, you did this completely incorrectly, that's literally fine. Do it whatever way you want. Again, as I said in the previous video, genetics literally does everything. Who knows, maybe there's somebody who's just out there, a freak of nature, and all their curls curl perfectly in the same way so that there's a perfect straight line created in their bangs. But yeah, disregarding that. And if you want to make any parts puff over the ears, like for example, with a lot of people with more voluminous hair or just thicker hair in general, it's going to have a harder time staying behind the ears. And if you want to draw the back of the hair as well, this can be you can create that front, but then you gotta remember that that back is kind of like a circle. Say you're drawing the skull is like a cylinder. Here's the way that the hair goes, and this is the back of the hair. Since it's the front of hair, this is the very faint back of the hair, and you can kind of just do the same thing as with the bangs, which is why I think drawing bangs is actually great, because it allows you to practice for the back of the head, because everybody knows that drawing the back of the head actually sucks. I should probably be more positive, but you know. And you know, with things like shorter hair, you can kind of follow the same general rules. Like with straight hair, it's a little bit more difficult. Like say, part is in the middle again, and you kind of just go around the skull. Say the hair ends here. You can kind of just get the idea of this from, you know, looking at people's skulls in real life. And you kind of just follow that line along. Just a couple of tapering where the hair will be cut. And yeah, you can basically just draw like every Asian boy in existence if you just use this method. Say you want to give them bangs again, then why not? Then just some small triangles. Then there you go. If you want to give this guy glasses, you can be a stereotypical nerd. Amazing. And now if you just want to add a little bit of side bits here to make it look like he's a little bit less balding on the sides, but who knows? Maybe this guy is undergoing balding from a very young age. Because if he's a nerd, he's probably a student. But you know what? You can be a student at any age you want. I'm not even gonna judge. I went to college and I saw people there who were probably like 30s plus. Or I know that's not even that old, but I don't know what my target audience is. Like literal middle school kids. So it's not like it really matters what I'm saying. Whatever. I think middle school kids think anyone over 20 is probably pretty old. Anyway. And with shorter curly hair, you'll actually want to add a little bit more volume for really tight curls, just because with shorter hair, there's less gravity weighing that down. Almost like a mini afro. It doesn't even have to be an afro. You can have really big messy curls like this that still stick up. So basically you just draw fancy S and connect it down. But you still want to connect it down to the rest of the hair. Fancy S. Another extra curved triangle. Fancy S. More triangles. And if you just say this is the side part. Wow, I've gotten so used to just not marking the parts because I usually don't have to explain what I'm doing. But yeah, fancy S the other way, curved triangle, fancy S the other way, curved triangle, fancy S the other way, curved triangle, and you basically just follow that same pattern, and there you go, you've got short hair. If you want to do side bangs as well, very large curved triangle, fancy S, curved triangle, and there you go. Everybody thinks you're great at drawing now because you draw S's with such confidence. This is also great for when you do math because you got to draw these horrible curly brackets that for some reason everyone has trouble with. But if you've drawn hair, you can do this. And if you can do this, you can draw hair. They're basically like the same thing. I'm literally lying, but actually you just got to have confidence in yourself. But yeah, they're basically the same thing. And remember, if you want to just add a little bit of section that covers the hair, erase the ear. A section of hair that covers the ear underneath, then you can do that. And I think that's basically it for hair tutorial. Yeah, that's really how it goes. I think that's like all the most important bits covered. Wow, all these extra heads were for nothing. No, actually they're just there for you to admire. Final canvas at the end of the video. Wow, I forgot what videos are called. Final canvas at the end of the video because that's what I did for the previous video. And even though it's more effort, CapCut got my back. Goodbye.